Today, Blake is working from the visionary communication path. The purpose of his project is to develop a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor. The title of his presentation today is, So You Want to Learn Barbecue? Please join me in welcoming Blake to the lectern.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I intentionally misled you. Yes, I will be teaching you to cook. Sort of. If you were at a meeting 2 weeks ago, you might be guessing where I'm headed. I'm talking about roasting. Today we'll be discussing the do's and don'ts of roasting. What is a roast? Who do you roast? When do you roast? How do you roast? Are you ready? Assuming the answer is yes, let's get started. What is a roast? Now, to answer this, we need to look at the history of the roast. Roasting came to fame with the New York Friars Club over 100 years ago. To be roasted was a high honor. Its members included politicians, celebrities, show business, and it was usually quite risque, which is one of the reasons it had a private membership. The Friars Club's exclusivity spawned the Dean Martin celebrity roast back in 1974, and the viewing public got to see their favorite celebrities squirm on TV. Pretty soon, service clubs began roasting their own, and it was only natural for a group like Toastmasters to get on board. So let's go back to the original question. What is a roast? Let's discuss what a roast is not. It is not a love fest. That is to say, it's not where we all get together, hold hands, and sing Barry Manilow music. No. Too often this happens, and the point of the roast is missed. It's going to sting a little bit. Pathways has a project where you do extol the virtues of an honoree. I did this for Carson Schaefer when he got his DTM designation. Nothing bellicose. It was all touchy and feely. We all hugged each other when it was done, but it wasn't a roast. The closest Pathways project to doing a roast would be the eulogy. Those of you that have seen or given a eulogy will identify. A eulogy is a remembrance of someone's life, and you will need to do some legitimate research. And just like a eulogy, you need to learn about the life of the roastee. Well, this leads me to the next question. Who do you roast? The roastee cannot be someone that will get their feelings easily hurt. They need to be able to take a joke. Many people are ultra-sensitive or flat can't out-handle a roast. Your roastee should be comfortable in their own skin. That is why Brandon Moore was comfortable asking us to jump on board and do an ambush roast of Carson Schaefer. You usually only roast the ones you love. Usually. All right. When do you roast? You roast to celebrate a special occasion, birthdays, life achievements, anniversaries. You get the picture? Yeah. All right. Can you dedicate an entire meeting for a roast? If you have enough advance notice, yes. And they can be awesome. Sometimes you can just do a roast speech. Like after Louisiana, I was stationed there after Katrina, and I missed the roast of Roy Shearer. So when I finally came back to Florida, I did a roast speech. I ambushed him on my own. You know, I wasn't going to be outdone on that. Now, if you have time and you've got a lineup of speakers or your roasters, then you can give the lineup to the roastee so he or she can get ready and do a rebuttal. Kind of like a debate, only a lot more fun. What you saw 2 weeks ago was an ambush roast of Carson Schaefer. Carson didn't know it was coming, and he had zero chance for rebuttal. How do you roast? You do research. Roasts need some truth in order for the fun to work. In Winter Park, the roasts are intended to be fun. The last time I got roasted, one of the roasters made an appointment and sat down with me for an hour and asked me questions. It was great, but the roast stories are not supposed to be believable. Don't confuse that. Let's grab a few examples from the audience so you can see what I mean. Hannah Randolph. Just kidding, I wouldn't do that to you, Hannah. All right, Carson used to live in the Florida Keys. Carson is missing a part of one finger. So, see, all right? How the partial digit got separated is not an exciting story, so let's embellish it. How many of you have been to the Florida Keys? Okay, good. Now, have you noticed all the signs for the shark fishing charters? Yeah, okay. Well, the very first shark charter was pioneered by Carson's parents. They would load up with tourists and they would head out to the ocean. Now, in the early days of the business, they would slap a life jacket on young Carson and tow him behind the boat. They put a shark hook in one hand and a pork chop in the other. And when the shark came up for the pork chop, Carson would hook him. Well, one sunny day, Carson was a little slow with the hook. Not only did the shark get the whole pork chop, it got part of his finger. Well, so it was conventional rod and reel fishing after that, you know. What if we were roasting, say, Amy White? Oh, sure, why not? You know, a lot of people didn't know that Amy was raised in the Caribbean, where she fell in love with voodoo dolls. You know, where they stick pins into the dolls and then they put curses on you with all sorts of physical pain. But there was no money in it. She then realized if she marketed to people that are already hurting, and they came to her and they would pay to get needles stuck in their bodies instead of little dolls, Dr. Amy, the acupuncturist, living the voodoo dream. What about our IT entrepreneur, Tim Taylor? Some of you may know that Tim's fleet of vehicles have been in a series of accidents lately. Not funny. Let's put a roast on it. Tim Taylor recently went to a seminar on committing insurance fraud. It gave him an idea to enhance his revenue stream. Sadly, he couldn't set his building on fire. He didn't own it. It was leased. So he went to Morgan & Morgan, and they recommended having his employees driving the company cars right into traffic, getting hit and suing. Win-win. So far, he's picked up a cool $1 million and paid for our club's new camera. It's important to keep these stories moving quicker than a tourist crossing I-Drive. Next time we roast a member and the word goes out, be the first to volunteer. The collaboration is a hoot, and come on, who doesn't enjoy a good barbecue, right?